Commissioners, this is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting and Public Hearing. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you'll all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attorney Garcia, do we have certification of the agenda today?
You do, sir. The County Attorney's Office has reviewed all items on this agenda. You have appropriate jurisdiction over these matters, and where necessary, appropriate posting has been made.
Thank you for that. And do any commissioners have disclosures for items on this agenda?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none either. So with that, we'll move on to item 2, which is our land use meeting agenda items. Item 2A is Canyon South Filing 5, Final Plat, Project File SB 2024-038. Eric Pavlinek, Principal Planner, presenting for staff. Hi, Eric.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Eric Pavlinek, representing Planning Services. The project for you is Canyon South Filing 5, Final Plat. The product number is SB 2024-038. The applicant representative is Alan Cunningham with PCS Group. The request is a final plat for 182 single-family detached residential lots, 6 tracts, and public roads on 306 acres within Canyon South PD, also known as McCanta. The intent of the final plat process is to provide the review of the final engineering plans, the subdivision improvements agreement, or SIA, public dedications, and other legal agreements. The SIA and all engineering reports, studies, and plans for the final plat have been approved by Public Works Engineering. The final plat process begins with the submittal of an application, following a review period by referral agencies and the public, and final acceptance of all engineering plans. The request is considered by the board at a public meeting. Public comment was received from one neighbor adjacent to the development. In general, public comment focused on drainage and debris. The public comment received was included as an attachment to the staff report. Most referral comments were standard in nature and focused on easements, agreements, and other improvements necessary for the construction of the final plat. The site, as identified by the red star, is located immediately southeast of Crowfoot Valley Road between the towns of Castle Rock and Parker. The site outlined in red is zoned PD. This is an aerial view of the property. The site is located in the northern half of the PD, adjacent to the McCanta Regional Park, which is north and east. The final plat area, as identified as the red star, is located within the High Plateau non-urban sub-area where low-intensity development is supported. As consistent with several policies, the overall design intent for Canyon South is to develop an environmentally sensitive residential community that will protect the visual character of the site, maintain wildlife corridors, and preserve steep slopes, rock outcroppings, and drainage ways. As background, Canyon South PD was approved in 2004, and the first preliminary plan and final plat were approved by the board in 2006 and 2007. Since then, various plats have been approved in the intervening years. To date, a total of 786 lots have been platted within the PD. This will complete the build-out of the subdivision for a total of 968 lots as permitted within the PD. This slide depicts the final plat exhibit. The placement and clustering of homes avoids steep slopes and further limits visual impact of residential development in the northern portion of the PD, which is consistent with the approved preliminary plan. Following are some site photos. This is a view from Long Story Avenue looking north through the site, and from the same location looking northeast. Here are the approval standards for final plat requests, which are discussed in detail in the staff report. Staff has evaluated the final plat request in accordance with Article 5 of the subdivision resolution. The final plat is consistent with the use, density, and development standards established by the Canton South PD and approved preliminary plan. Should the board find that the approval standards for the final plat are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in the motion. Condition number 1, prior to plat recordation, the applicant shall provide payment in the amount of $450,000 to Douglas County to be used for improvements to McCanta Regional Park. Condition number 2, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, its successor and assigned, shall take all reasonable care to watch for historic resources, paleontological resources, and other cultural history resources, and shall immediately notify Douglas County and complete appropriate Colorado Office of Archaeological and Historic Preservation Data Management forms in the event of such discovery. Condition number 3, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, its successor and assigned, shall conduct a burrowing owl study if any earth moving will take place between March 15th and October 31st. Condition number 4, Colorado Parks and Wildlife literature shall be made available to both prospective homeowners and home buyers regarding existence of wildlife in the area and how to minimize conflicts. Condition number 5, prior to plat recordation, technical corrections to the final plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And condition number 6, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representative during public meeting and or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon the Board of County Commissioners in approving the application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 504.06 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board action on the final plat request, which is noted on this slide. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions at this time. Otherwise, Alan Cunningham has a presentation for you.
Eric, thank you for that. Any questions for staff?
Eric, thank you for that explanation. You know, every time I'm sitting here and I see approvals that happened in 2006 and 2007, I wonder what would this look like today if 2008 and that cliff didn't happen. And so I just want to, I appreciate everybody who is still trying to get these projects done that started 20 years ago, and that economic decline really impacted everybody so desperately. So thank you for being here and working through finishing these projects, because we have lots of people that are looking for places to live. And there's a lot of people that want to come to Douglas County. So providing houses for them is a really good thing. So I'm interested in what you are going to present, but I'm always struck when I see those dates of 2006 and 2007, because we know what happened in 2008. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have any questions. Great presentation. We'll invite the applicant up for your presentation. If you want to just state your name and who you're with for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Alan Cunningham with PCS Group, 200 Calumet Street, Denver, 80223. Thanks for being here this afternoon. I'm pleased to be here on behalf of Hines, the owner of the property. I'll give you a brief presentation because Eric did a comprehensive job both in his staff report and with his presentation. Also with me today are Chad Murphy with Hines, the owner of the project, and Brian Moss with Cover 3 Engineering, the civil engineer on the project. And I believe Lindsay may be online, our land use attorney from Otten Johnson. So a couple different slides from what Eric had, just to give you the context. This one's pulled from the preliminary plan for this area of the property. The image on the right that has the colored hatches on it, those are the previous preliminary plans and plats that were the 786 lots already platted on the property. Those are shown in gray on the left-hand image, and the application before you tonight or this afternoon for filing 5 is that area in the north with the bold line around it and the lots that are a little bit darker that represent, as mentioned, the 182 final lots to bring the total to 968 within the Canyon South/Macanta. This one just zooms in also from the preliminary plan, showing those 182 lots and how they're lotted within 307 acres or 306 and change within this area. All single-family detached homes. The configuration, looks conspicuous without the topo on here, but that's adhering to some of the ridges on the property. All roads within this will be public and dedicated to the county with the plat. So this one's taken from the filing 5 plat. As you can see, the layout remains consistent with the preliminary plan that came before you and was approved back in June. We've just worked through, obviously, the civil engineering details to get to this point and get to the plat. In addition to the 182 lots, there's several tracts in here, 8 acres going to parks and another 239 acres going to open space, so 247 of the 307 going to parks and open space within this filing. I had also put in the final plat approval standards, but I don't need to really spend time on them as Eric included them, and he did have a comprehensive review of them within his staff report. In terms of how this filing in Canyon South relative to the comprehensive plan, generally speaking, we're in the high plateau, so it's the non-urban use areas. The goals within that are generally to preserve character, both the natural open space and if there's any agricultural within there, and to provide design and land use that's compatible with that. And with this particular filing, we definitely believe that this is finishing out Canyons Far South and consistent with the comp plan. As mentioned, we have 247 of the 307 acres in this filing are in parks and open space. So definitely preserving, it's more natural in this case than agricultural, but preserving the natural characteristics of this part of the county within Macanta and ensuring that we have view shed protection within the remainder of Macanta as well. So with that, kind of wrapping up, I did want to just show a different graphic showing so filing 5 is the area that's highlighted in orange/yellow. As you can see, it's to the north of Long Story and the previous filings within Canyon South, south of the 450-acre Macanta Regional Park that was dedicated to the county by Hines. You can see that the lotting remains consistent with what we've been doing in terms of it sits within substantial open space and a comprehensive trail system. So as mentioned, just to summarize, the final 182, there should be the final plat hearing that we come before you for Canyon South, to your point, Commissioner Thomas. Final 182 lots, rounding out the 968 that are allowed by the PD, contributing another 247 acres of parks and open space within this filing to the overall, so that we still have this substantial comprehensive open space and trail system within the community. And with that, as mentioned, there's members of our team here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. Yes, sir. Sure. You want to just state your name and your position?
Sorry, impromptu. I'm Chad Murphy with Hines, the developer in Denver, Colorado. I just felt that the need to stand up and say thank you for the relationship all these years. It's been a long road. This is the 5th and final filing of the entire Macanta project. It's been a massive investment for our company, and we have greatly appreciated our relationship with the commissioners as well as your staff. Hasn't been easy, but it's also been fair, and we really do appreciate that. And so I just wanted to personally thank you on behalf of the ownership group we've been in front of you how many times over the years. And so as the final plat, or final plat of this project is before you now, I wanted to thank you. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you for those comments. We appreciate it. Any questions for the applicant?
I would just like to thank Mr. Murphy. Did I get your name right? Thank you for what you just said. The one word that you said that was most important was fair. And that's what I hope everybody who comes to Douglas County and deals with feels that they have been treated fairly. And so thank you for that opportunity. Thank you, guys.
You know, no doubt, we often say that Douglas County is open for business. We appreciate the enterprise risk that Heinz has undertaken in this community and developing something that is beautiful for our citizens to enjoy for years to come is obviously significant. You know, turning to the packet, this won't surprise you, as you know, I obviously sit on Centennial Airport Authority, saw many of the referral comments. I recognize the significant distance between Centennial Airport and McCanta and this entire development. That said, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't reference the correspondence from Zachary Gabehart from Centennial Airport. And what he talks about is he says, you know, the proximity of the airport and the fact that the development lies directly under and adjacent to the approach path serviced by the instrument landing system. The area is going to see overflights at all hours of the day, regardless of weather conditions. And of course, aircraft altitudes in this area can be at 1,000 feet or less above ground level. I'm not a pilot, but you know, having sat on that board for 6-7 years now, I mean, I often hear about the approaches and you know all of the concerns that pilots may have. I also am, you know, not only we represent the entire county, but I come from District 1, and we are constantly hearing about complaints from neighbors and of course those in Arapahoe County dealing with the constant flights. And those are people that, you know, built there long before the patterns changed. But can you give us a sense of your response to Centennial Airport and your position?
Sure, and Chad can join me if you'd like, but as we've talked about, I think on previous filings and in filing 4, the property is a little over 9 miles away from Centennial Airport and the runway in question, and I believe it's over 5 miles outside of even the influence zone. In working with staff, there's no regulatory requirements for a navigation easement on this property, and we have not had any on any of the previous filings, so our preference would be to remain consistent with that. However, there is, and I can read it for you in terms of responding and working with staff, there is a note on the final plat that said owner waives, remisses, and releases any right or cause of action it may now have or which it may have in the future against the County of Douglas, its officers, and employees and agents related to or resulting from the passage of aircraft in the airspace above the property that is the subject of this final plat. And so I think that was somewhat of the compromise to make sure that plat note was on there in lieu of the navigation easement, given the proximity or the distance of the site from the airport.
Well, I appreciate that. And while the indemnification of the county is a positive gesture, I'm most concerned about citizens. People that are desperate for housing, that don't pay attention to closing documents on that day, sign whatever they need to sign, get in their home, and then it's just nonstop flyovers. I think you're obviously in a very different position than folks in Meridian or, you know, right in Lone Tree, Lincoln, and I-25. But I suppose I wonder why a basic 7-day noise test would not have been considered.
Chad's up. As far as I understand it, to this point, there's been no complaints, calls from, there's numerous residents out there. Chad could probably tell you how many houses have closed. But there's been residents living out there for some time now, and yeah. I've not heard, at least, I don't know if the county has, of any instances with noise where anyone has called the county or anyone else to complain.
I'll add, I remember your comment from the last plat, and I've actually asked several of our homeowners that have moved in if there's any impact to them, because you're right, there are planes up there. Nobody has expressed any concern. I've got personal relationships with many people, many residents. We now have 412 homes sold, built and sold to homeowners, and I've raised this question with several people, and nobody has had any complaints to the air traffic control. I think at this level, you do see the planes once in a while, but it's very rare. But I think they're still high enough that it's not problematic for any of our residents. Furthermore, if anything, they talk about how quiet the community is more than anything else, and how much they love that peace and quiet. So we have not heard any complaints, and we've got almost 50% of the community sold out.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think that's why we have commissioners from each district. I am in a neighborhood in Heritage Hills at Lincoln and I-25, and often, hearing from our colleagues and neighbors in Arapahoe County and Greenwood Village that are ready to litigate against the developer because of all, or not, obviously they're dealing with that, then also litigation with the airport, with the noise. It just is so frequent. And unfortunately, because of the relationship with the federal government, the FAA is very hard to deal with. They change flight patterns and then neighborhoods are stuck with them. Nothing that you don't already know, but it's certainly fresh in my mind and remains a concern, just like it was before. Let me ask staff, any impact, conversations, input from citizens on air traffic noise?
Eric Pavlik for staff. I have not heard from any neighbors regarding noise or aircrafts, due to aircrafts, but no, nothing in this filing or the previous filings I've worked on in Macanta specifically, no.
What is the DNL noise attenuation in this development, do we know?
I'd have to look at the PD.
Jeanette there for staff. I don't know that there's any specific requirements for noise attenuation. There's the building code that obviously has certain types of standards for windows and for siding and things of that nature. But because this wasn't located adjacent to a state or federal highway, I think that there wasn't or was set back far enough from certainly Founders Parkway. There was no specific noise attenuation required for this project.
Right, thank you for that. I know there's no requirement, just wondering how it's being built. And do you have a sense of any noise attenuation in terms of building materials?
I don't personally. I mean, I think
Okay.
that, the level of construction now is so much more advanced than it was even 10 years ago in terms of quality of windows and other things that I think it does a pretty good job of attenuation and just generally speaking on properties, but I don't have any math to back that up.
I'll add one thing. We've got 4 home builders in here, Toll Brothers, Taylor Morrison, Lennar, and David Weekly Homes. And if this was a concern, that we would have heard about it by now for sure. But they are not expressing any concern on noise or sound from aircraft. And we work with our builders, weekly on lot sales and marketing issues and driving traffic, like home buyer traffic to the site to sell houses. And this has not been a concern of any shape or size as long as we've been out here selling.
Well, I appreciate that. We're seeing a lot of, and obviously, commercial real estate attorney, certainly appreciate the work of the development community. We're seeing a lot of developments where attention has not been paid to sound. People sign a lease or buy, and all over Lone Tree, where I live, separate than unincorporated Douglas County, it's incredibly noisy. It's very difficult. We get complaints all the time. I do from citizens that have bought or leased. And it's just super noisy outside, and it's cheap building materials at the end of the day. So I appreciate that we haven't heard anything about this particular development. I don't have any additional questions on this. Any additional questions, Commissioner?
I have none. Thank you for being before us.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm going to open it up for citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay, Troy, do we have any citizen comment online?
Thank you, sir. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll close citizen comment, bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Did you want to ask about the 6 conditions?
Yes. For the applicant, are you comfortable with the 6 conditions as presented?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And one of those includes $450,000 for parks additional to the land that you've already done. So thank you for that. Okay, good. I have a motion to approve Canyon South Filing 5 final plat because it does meet all of the approval criteria with 6 conditions as presented. Project file SB 2024-038.
And I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? I'll just add, I always want to be very, sensitive to those who put us in these roles, but obviously we support the hard work of the development community to create these amazing communities. This is a perfect example of a tremendous community in Douglas County, so I will be in support. Any further discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes 2-0. Congrats. So with that, we'll move on to item 3A, which is Pinery Plan Development 31st Amendment, Major Plan Development Amendment, Project File ZR 2023-002. My understanding is that this is to be continued to December 10th, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Is that right, Mike? Okay. Any issues with that, Commissioner?
I have none.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I have a motion to continue the Pinery Plan Development 31st Amendment, Major Plan Development Amendment, Project File ZR 2023-002 until December 10th, 2024 at 2:30 p.m.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that carries 2-0. Thanks. We'll move on to item 3B, which is River Canyon Filing 2, Fourth Amendment, Minor Development Plat, Project File SB 2024-019. Heather Scott, Principal Planner, presenting for staff. Hi, Heather.
Heather Scott for Planning Services. The item before you is a residential minor development final plat. Project number is SB 2024-019. The applicant, Kevin and Jeff Collins, are here today with a presentation. The applicant is requesting a minor development final plat to subdivide 6.019 acre parcel into 8 lots and 3 tracts. The proposed lots are approximately 1/4 to 1/3 acre in size and are generally clustered in the central portion of the site with open space tracts to the east, south, and west. The 3 tracts provide 50% open space. The intent of the minor development is to provide a streamlined review process for the creation of 10 or fewer single-family residential lots. The minor development plat process begins with the submittal of an application. Following a review period by referral agencies and the public hearings are scheduled before the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners. One neighbor had concerns regarding drainage runoff on Caretaker Road and requested the privacy wall be extended the entire length of the frontage of Caretaker Road. The applicant is providing a privacy wall for a portion abutting Caretaker Road and a privacy fence for the remainder of the frontage. All referral agency comments are outlined in the referral agency response report, as well as the referral response letters attached in the staff report. The Planning Commission considered the applicant's request at a public hearing on November 4th. No members of the public spoke in response to this application. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to approve the minor development final plat, subject to the 9 conditions proposed by staff, and by a vote of 5-0. River Canyon, Filing 2, Fourth Amendment area, identified by the red star, is located in the northwest portion of Douglas County. River Canyon, otherwise known as the Club at Ravenna, is zone plan development. Neighboring subdivisions like Roxborough Park to the south are also zone plan development. Jefferson County and Lockheed are located to the north and west, and the Highline Canal and agriculturally zoned properties are located south and east. As seen on the aerial, lots 1 and 2A-2 are outlined in red in the northern portion of the subdivision. The property is within the non-urban Pike National Forest and Foothills subarea, as identified in Section 3 of the 2040 CMP. The River Canyon Plan Development was approved under the 1992 Douglas County Master Plan, or called the 1992 Plan, as part of a non-urban area back in 2001. The 1992 plan included policies allowing for transitioning of densities from urban to non-urban levels within this part of the county. The overall gross density approved for River Canyon was 1 dwelling unit per 2.6 acres, with over 300 acres set aside for open space and wildlife movement. Both the 1992 plan and the 2040 CMP consider the gross density to be non-urban in nature. With approval of this minor development plat, the the PD remains at a non-urban density of 1 dwelling unit per 2.6 acres. As background, the original River Canyon sketch plan was approved in 2001, and the second filing was created in 2002. There have been 3 amendments which have adjusted the PD boundary, planning area boundaries, adjusted lot lines, and created 1 new lot. The River Canyon Second Amendment, 4th revision, is before you today. This exhibit shows the proposed 8-lot subdivision. Access to the site is from Caretaker via a private road within the development. Tracks A, B, and C provide a buffer along the east, south, and west project boundaries and will be owned and maintained as permanent open space by the HOA. This view is northwest through Lot 1 into the existing parking lot for the Ravenna Sales Center and the maintenance yard. This view of Lot 1 is looking northeast from the cart path into the maintenance yard. This is a view from the Ravenna Clubhouse looking north over Lots 1, 2A2, and the wastewater treatment center at the end of Caretaker Road. This slide lists the approval standards for a minor development final plat. Staff's assessment of these standards are discussed in detail in the staff report. Staff has evaluated the minor development final plat in accordance with Article 6 of the Douglas County Subdivision Resolution. Should the board find that the approval standards for the minor development final plat are met, the following proposed conditions should be considered for inclusion in this motion. Condition number 1. Prior to the board hearing on the minor development final plat, the SIP for the adjacent lot, River Canyon Filing 2, Lot 3, First Amendment, SP 2022-075, shall be approved and drainage improvements secured within an approved SIA for that plat. This condition has now been met. Prior to the recordation of the minor development final plat, an HOA shall be formed to accept ownership and maintenance of the tracks and private road within the subdivision. Condition number 3. Prior to recordation of the minor development final plat, the applicant shall pay $250 to Douglas County in cash in lieu of parkland dedication. Condition number 4. Prior to recordation of the minor development final plat, the applicant shall pay $500 in cash in lieu of or land dedication and $592 for school capacity to the Douglas County School District. Condition number 5, prior to building permit issuance for lots 1 through 8, evidence shall be provided that the Piesco easement has been vacated. Condition number 6, prior to building permit issuance for lots 7 and 8, evidence shall be provided that the 20-foot wide water easement and 10-foot wide utility easements have been vacated. Condition number 7, during construction activity within the development, the applicant, its successors, and assigns shall take all reasonable care to watch for historic resources, paleontological resources, and other cultural history resources, and shall immediately notify Douglas County in the event of such a discovery. Condition number 8, disclosures shall be provided to prospective homeowners and homebuyers regarding the proposed Chatfield Basin wastewater reclamation facility as part of any real estate transactions for lots 1 through 8. Condition number 9, prior to recordation of the minor development final plat, technical corrections to the plat exhibit shall be made to the satisfaction of Douglas County. And condition number 10, all commitments and promises made by the applicant or the applicant's representatives during the public hearing and/or agreed to in writing and included in the public record have been relied upon by the Board of County Commissioners in approving this application. Therefore, such approval is conditioned upon the applicant's full satisfaction of all such commitments and promises. Section 604.08 of the subdivision resolution sets forth the parameters for the board's recommendation on minor development final plat requests as noted on this slide. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available to answer any questions. Otherwise, Kevin and Jeff Collins are here with the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions for staff?
I do, Heather, I have a question. So on those conditions, there were payments to the school district and to the Parks Fund for the county. Are those amounts per lot or total for this development?
They're assessed per lot. However, the developer has made payments in the past, and at this point, these additional 8 lots only require one more payment.
Okay, so I think it was $500? Can you flip back to those conditions? So $250 for parks and $500 for the school district. So that's just one payment each, not per lot.
It's assessed as a per lot, but the developer has already made payments. So with these additional 8 lots, they had credit for 7 of the 8, so they need to pay 1 more.
I see. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. I'll reserve my questions following the applicant's presentation. If you want to come up and let us know who you are and provide your presentation.
Sorry.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Collins. I am a representative of River Canyon Real Estate Investments. The address is 11118 Caretaker Road, Littleton, Colorado. I would just like to add to the sentiment that Mr. Murphy said earlier. It's definitely been a process going through this, but at the same point, the planning staff, everybody in the county has been fantastic with working through different issues with us. So we'd just like to say thank you for everybody for that, and we'll start from here. Good afternoon, Commissioners Layden and Thomas. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to explain our proposed River Canyon Filing 2 Fourth Amendment minor plat and how it complies with Douglas County's minor development plat requirements, serves community interest, and as a result, we believe that our application should be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Jeff Collins. I'm the Director of Development for the applicant, River Canyon Real Estate Investments, which operates the club at Ravenna and the golf community. We are a family-owned business and operated. Excuse me. With me today is Kevin Collins, my father, who is the owner, president, and CEO of River Canyon Real Estate Investments, Kynan Frankie of Sage Design Group, and Boston Blake with Terracina Design. Douglas County has a long history of exemplary community planning, growth, management, and reputation is well deserved. It is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States, which has balanced the creation of communities, commerce, excellent public services, schools, and recreation opportunities, while protecting the natural habitat that makes Douglas County a special place to live and work. With a favorable approval of the River Canyon Filing 2 Fourth Amendment minor plat development, River Canyon will uphold the standards that Douglas County has set forth. Allow me to give you a brief history of Lot 1. In 2021, the original River Canyon PD was approved. The golf course maintenance facility and sales center were constructed in 2007. The 2 facilities have remained on Lot 1 ever since. As Ravenna has grown and is nearing completion, we started to look at how the golf course maintenance facility needed to be upgraded from a small mechanic shop with a large tent for an equipment storage building to a state-of-the-art facility to best serve our membership with a world-class golf course. During this process of assessing how to best maximize the land use and dwelling unit cap per the PD, we came up with the concept of moving the golf course maintenance facility to Lot 3, north of Caretaker Road, and creating an 8-lot development on Lot 1. In July of 2023, the Board of County Commissioners approved the rezoning of Lot 1 to a residential use planning area from a light commercial use. Here is the project area outlined in red, and Lot 3 is where the new maintenance facility will call its new home. All of the development will be outside any major drainage ways, and existing vegetation will remain in its natural state. The plan incorporates Tract A with a 100-year floodplain to the west of the home sites that allows for adequate buffering from the Dominion wastewater treatment plant. That's located over here. This area will remain in its natural state. Tract B along Caretaker Road will create a landscaping buffer area from the neighbor to the north. The proposed layout of the lot will have a uniform cluster home housing design that matches the natural landscape character and enhances the aesthetics of the area. The redevelopment will be limited in scale with a new road called Dolce Vita Place, with water and sewer services from Roxborough Water and Sanitation District. The homes will be tucked below the Highline Canal, not blocking any sight lines from the surrounding lots. The new home sites are in close proximity to public services and will utilize the existing systems that already supply Lot 1. As Heather stated earlier, the lots are 1/3 of an acre to 1/4 of an acre in size, which is consistent with throughout the development. There's some larger, but good majority are 1/4 of an acre or 1/3 of an acre. Our setbacks are consistent with what we already have in the AC planning areas. There is a 100-year floodplain to the western portion of Lot 1. We have no intention to alter or disturb the natural area. Per the River Canyon PD, there must be a 20-foot setback from this floodplain. This is outlined in the dark blue, as you see. We have also confirmed that there are no Class 3 geological hazards on this site. As I stated earlier, we are taking all necessary measures to create screening in Tracts A and B with landscaping and existing natural vegetation. Along Caretaker Road, there will be a mixture of trees, shrubs, and decorative grasses to create an aesthetically pleasing and functional screening area from the surrounding properties. The Maintenance Center SIP has been approved, fulfilling the drainage requirements that I'll touch on later in this presentation. The proposal intends to utilize and maintain the natural terrain as much as possible, specifically to the south and to the west. There is little to no riparian or existing vegetation. Our proposal has been designed to be more ecological by adding more landscaping and reducing impervious runoff. There will be an increase in open space as well on this proposal. ERO has confirmed that they are unaware of any cultural resources that need to be preserved. The new development will have an on-street parking availability since this street is now 28 feet wide. This will improve safety and convenience for the guests of the future residents. There will also be a cart path on the southwest side that will allow residents to use golf carts to access the country club's amenities with dining, golf, and the wellness center. A soils report indicated potential hazards, but found that with the proper engineering, design, and construction, these hazards would not impede the development of the project. Each home site will have a soils test completed for the design of the home, and those recommendations and requirements will be implemented for permitting. Oops. Roxborough Water and Sanitation District has confirmed and is in compliance with being able to supply this development with an adequate water supply. Roxborough Water and Sanitation has also confirmed and is in compliance with being able to provide wastewater treatment capacity for the new 8 home sites. We will adhere to any recommendations and requirements for this site based on the soils analysis done by CTL Thompson. Each individual home site will be required to provide a soils analysis and will be required to design the home to the appropriate engineering design standards. Douglas County storm drainage design criteria has been met with the approval of the site improvement plan for the golf course maintenance facility. The storm water will run down into these 2 culverts and be piped along here to a detention basin on the north side of the maintenance facility. Denver Water is the owner of Caretaker Road, which will be accessed to enter the 8-lot development. One of the criteria that we had to meet was to obtain access from Denver Water to use Caretaker Road. The Ravenna Metro District has entered into an updated intergovernmental agreement with Denver Water for access and maintenance of the road. We will be providing road improvements along Caretaker Road that adhere to Douglas County road standards and have been given approval by Denver Water. A traffic study was required and was completed by Felsberg, Holt, and Olvig. Their findings showed that there will be no additional improvements needed to existing public roadways to accommodate the new 8 home sites. Ravenna contracted ERO to create a study for any potential cultural, archaeological, or historical resources. There were no recommendations or actions required to develop Lot 1. The Douglas County Historical Preservation has no record of any required action either. In the event that any artifacts are discovered, we will notify the proper authorities. There are no known commercial mining deposits or significant mineral deposits on the site per Douglas County's extraction plan. All services are available to Lot 1. The Fire Protection District is West Metro, and the Douglas County Sheriff's Office provides police protection. The utility facilities in the area are provided by Xcel, Comcast, and CenturyLink. I state with full confidence that River Canyon's minor plat development is in complete compliance with the relevant Douglas County Subdivision Resolution Article 6 approval standards. The planning area will be annexed into the Ravenna HOA, which will take care of the roads and any of the open spaces that are within this development. All of the other conditions that have been stated will be complied with by River Canyon before recordation. All of the conditions for the approval of the River Canyon 9th Amendment have been met. We have come to an agreement with Denver Water and have approval to access to the 8 home sites. We have made the required technical corrections. Those are in process, and we will uphold all promises that we have made. Just kind of like to show you an aerial view. The pictures that Heather had were fantastic, but this kind of shows this is our mechanics area right now. It's just very insufficient for what we need operationally. And then this is our current sales center, which there's no need for anymore, as all the existing lots in Ravenna have been sold. We'll obviously need to sell these 8, but we won't need a sales center to have those homes sold. This is one last final look at the development layout. The purpose of the subdivision is to subdivide Lot 1 into 8 single-family lots with a mixture of open space and landscaping areas. With the approval of the Board of County Commissioners, this will enhance the aesthetic appeal of this entire area with a lot more natural plantings and adding some color also in the area. I would like to thank you for your time this afternoon, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions for the applicant?
I have none, thank you.
And I have none either. With that, I'm going to open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room or online with regard to this item?
I have no online comment.
Thank you, Troy. I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any. And before I do that, let me ask the applicant, are you okay with the 10 conditions as presented?
Yes.
You are, okay, thank you. So closing citizen comment, hearing from the applicant that they have approved the conditions, I'll bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I have a motion to approve the River Canyon Filing 2, Fourth Amendment, minor development plat because it does meet all of the approval criteria with 10 conditions as presented. Project file SB 2024-019.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion?
I have none.
You know, I reviewed the packet, and then following the applicant's presentation, I am fully satisfied that all of these conditions for the minor development approval have been met. So I will be in favor. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that passes 2-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to item C, which is a resolution supplementing the 2024 adopted budget to appropriate unanticipated revenues and appropriate restricted, assigned, and unassigned fund balances in the amount of $26,748,559. Martha Marshall presenting for staff, not Kimberly Hirsch.
Right. Kim is home with her husband who had knee replacement surgery yesterday.
Oh, please give her our best. I hope,
Thank you very
they're
much.
doing okay.
She's having lots of fun.
I'll bet.
So, good afternoon, Commissioners. Martha Marshall for Budget Staff. I'm here with a resolution amending the 2024 adopted budget to appropriate unanticipated revenues, appropriate restricted, assigned, and unassigned fund balance in the amount of $26,748,559. Colorado Revised Statute 29-1-109 provides the ability for local governments to amend the budget throughout the year as necessary. This fifth and hopefully final supplemental of 2024 will be increasing appropriations, as I said, by the $26,748,559. This will be funded with new revenues of $22,860,636 and the remaining amount of $3,887,923 will come from restricted, assigned, and unassigned fund balance. All of this is itemized in your packet with detailed explanations and funding sources for each item. After this supplemental is approved, the 2024 amended budget will be $798,579,015. This represents an 18.9% increase over the 2024 adopted budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Martha. Getting real close to that 800 million number.
I know.
Wow. Commissioner, any questions?
This might be an unfair question. Do you know what the budget for 2023 was? Wasn't it more than this?
Oh dear, I can't say.
I prefaced it that it was an unfair question. I've been thinking about it this afternoon. I thought it was 800 and something million, but anyway. nice job. I know that there's a lot of work here, and you're training a third person that you've been working with, and so you have really put in your fair share of work and then some for the county on all this. Thank you.
Well, I have a great team, and I'm growing that team. So,
Thank you, Martha.
Great work, Martha. With that, I'll open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment with regard to this item 3C, either in person or online?
I have no online comments.
Troy, thank you for that. I'll close citizen comment, bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or motion.
So I'll just reiterate for the public that before the meeting, Martha came up and asked me if I had any questions. And she wanted to clarify that a majority of this $26 million that we are adding to the budget is actually grants that have come in, a lot for the health department. Would you like to just clarify anything more about that so the public knows we're just not collecting more property tax or something and finding ways to spend it, where it's come from?
really, and that's really why it's so important that this appropriation of, of $26 million is being funded with almost $23 million of new revenues that are coming into the county. So yeah, definitely, this is by far, the supplemental is grant money that is coming from state and federal sources. This is kind of unprecedented for us. We haven't seen this much grant money in ever.
Well, that's important for us to know, Martha, because what that tells me is that our staff have gotten really good at finding money that's available that matches the work we're already doing. So it's actually our tax dollars coming back to us, but it's helping us provide better services. So thank you for that information.
You know, I remember several years ago during the period we'll never mention again, COVID, that so much of the federal resources that were coming in were being closely scrutinized, and dollars were available. And I remember having that conversation with our county manager around grant writing and ensuring we had folks on staff that could capture all of these funds that were being made available. So it's really kudos to you as the county manager and our grant staff for finding those funds. I mean, and all the staff members from each of these departments that have been looking for these monies. I think that is deeply significant. Makes a difference in a tight budget year. Okay, any further discussion?
I have a motion to approve a resolution supplementing the 2024 adopted budget to appropriate unanticipated revenues and appropriate restricted, assigned, and unassigned fund balances in the amount of $26,748,559.
And I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. The next land use meeting, public hearing, will be held on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. We are adjourned.